Good morning, everybody. It's super early, and I debated about looking presentable before making this video and decided against it. Sometimes when the spirit moves you, you gotta talk. And so I really feel like I need to start talking about this subject of collective shadows. We don't talk about collective shadows. Guess who's the only person been talking about collective shadows, y'all? Me. It's in chapter 5 of my book, Healing Through Shadow Work. But we can't even get to chapter 5 yet. We're stuck in the first couple of chapters of this book as a collective. We are. We're just discovering ourselves. That's chapter 1. Waking up to stuff. And chapter 2 is about the foundation of all of this work, which you don't know about yet. You're still getting introduced to that. And then chapter 3 is the heart of it. And that's where I think many of us are in the space of learning to love ourselves. Because when we don't heal our own shadows, when we don't heal these shadows, they bubble up into the collective as collective shadows. And where can we see these collective shadows? It's really, really easy. All the things that are happening collectively that we get to experience as a collective, like COVID and this pandemic, we got to talk about that. We really have to start talking about these things, guys, without being so triggered that we can't have a discussion, a loving discussion. I don't know. The people that I know that are on the extremes of this cannot get themselves into a heart-centered place, if you know what I'm saying. If you can't get yourself there, guys, you're using only your heart and your brain are not in sync, number one. And you're probably using that fight or flight part of your brain only instead of your prefrontal cortex. I'm just saying, like, let's break it down into science, people. Why is it like the one video where like the stuff I really want to talk about, I just woke up? I'm sorry. Really. Collective shadows. COVID. I just watched a video. I don't know why I woke up and turned on Instagram. Don't know why. I really don't like Instagram, people. That's another story. Anyway, things happen for a reason. I saw this guy's video. It was just so random. Like, I don't know who he is. He has like, a handful of followers. So it was just like some random person's experience on Delta Airlines with his family. And they were all masked up except for the 2-year-old. And the flight attendants just, from his account of the story, were just so rude and mean and yelling and loud. And like, you're trying to keep it together for your family. That's me. I'm like, I'm going to try to keep it together, but for so long. And then I'm just going to... But they got on the flight. They weren't kicked off, but the people were so rude to them. The entire flight. And that's what I'm seeing. That is a collective shadow. We didn't have people being straight out rude to people who are in customer service jobs. I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it at the hospital. People were treating me that way. So, Pineville, urgent care. I'm like, I know, not urgent care, but the Pineville Hospital. My soon-to-be ex-husband had to go to the hospital for a COVID-related thing last year, and it was really scary. It was a circumstance that was happening that was unfolding exactly the way my mom had died. It was like this weird, it was just like every single thing that was happening. So, and I knew I knew he wasn't going to die, but I could see the parallel. I'm like, okay, I got to handle the situation, being fully aware and not going into the fear, because that can easily send a normal person, I don't think I'm normal, I think I'm pretty above average, that would send a normal person into a tizzy of fear. I mean, my mom just died last year. It was very unexpected. And so like, it was like the same circumstances with the urgent care and the way the doctors were responding. It was just really like eerily strange. But because I've been on this path and working on myself, and I understand why things happen. And sometimes it's to see how we're going to react. Are we going to react from fear, from the abject fight or flight fear? Because that's where many of you have gone. Many of you. Those of you that do not have any kind of spiritual base, you don't know how to handle what is happening right now. And yeah, you need a spiritual base. Your spirituality is just that relationship with you. It's you. You're the spirit. It's your relationship with whatever you believe in, that higher power or whatever you call it. If you don't have that, and if that thing, that relationship is not there, and a practice is not there, you're not going to be able to pull yourself out of the fight or flight. You're going to be stuck in the old, they call it the old brain, where it was, designed to keep us safe from like fires and, rocks falling on us, I suppose. But not to, not when we can't handle our emotions, we're putting everything there. Everything is in the flight. We're reacting from there. It shuts down. You can't, you're not, the prefrontal cortex isn't even going. You're not using your whole brain. When you can use your whole brain and you can use your whole heart, you will have clarity about what's happening. And you'll be able to speak authentically your feelings about this. You'll be able to listen to people who have opposing sides to this issue. It's not really an issue. It's how we're treating each other about the issue. How are you going to treat somebody? I am seeing, and this is the interesting thing from my point of view. I have been discriminated against. I have been, people have always been rude to me for no reason, even when I'm being the sweetest, most sincere person. And is that because I'm Black? I don't know, but I'm just going to say that I've had those experiences, and I know a lot of my people have had those experiences. So it's interesting when others are suddenly outraged about something. That's what really got me about the whole Trump situation. It's like, now you're seeing racism and stuff. It's been there, okay? And that's what made me mad about that. We won't go into that. Because for me, that whole election was my catalyst and my wake-up call to my own behavior. How I was acting nasty with my friends. They were calling me names, calling my husband a racist. When you catch yourself acting acting a fool, then you have to really stop and think and remember you're not using your whole brain. And you're definitely not in your heart space. You're not in that space at all. You're completely disconnected from it, which leaves you in abject fear. So we have to get a hold of that. And those of us that call ourselves Christian or spiritual, you got to get a hold of it too, because I'm using myself as an example. I talk about this stuff all the time. I have had to face some fears this last year. And I think personally, me, I have my own little ideas about what's going on. I think we're all going to have to face COVID. I think we're all going to have to face our deepest fears. But that's just me because I had to this past year. A lot of things. I'm not going to get into it. But I've done enough videos about that. We have to understand these collective shadows. And so what you're seeing out there, this hatred, and what you're feeling. What are you feeling if you're somebody that passionately believes you best be wearing a mask at all times or you're killing us? Recognize, number one, those are extreme beliefs. That's extreme. You have to be able to recognize when your views are very extreme. When they're extreme, understand you are in fear zone. You're way in the fear zone. I don't know anybody who is completely heart-centered and can really talk about this issue. I can. So whenever anybody's ready to talk about it, like an adult, this is a maturity thing, guys. This is growing, healing your pain so that you are not always looking and thinking and seeing everything through your pain that you've gotten so used to seeing. And everyone else is so used to seeing that it is now acceptable. It's the norm. So those of us who, once we start healing and remembering who we are and not being afraid to be ourselves and speak up for what we believe in, you have to be able to speak up. Those of us who call ourselves spiritual, those of us who call ourselves warriors, you got to be a warrior of the heart. You got to be able to stand up and speak the things that you believe in and not worry about what your neighbor or all these other people are going to say, because you know you're doing the right thing. You know what you've experienced. And you know that you're coming from a place of love, which is, by the way, just our natural state. And you'll remember it the more you heal those shadows and you get closer and closer to your natural state. Please recognize when you see the stuff happening out, when you see the guy on the flight, who were you? If you were on that flight, what would you have been thinking? Ooh, I'd have stood up for him. I'd have been, I would have. But, or tried to. I'd have been the one getting kicked off the plane, the lady on the side. Who would you have been? Guys, we're losing our heart. There is a woman, there is a flight attendant yelling at a man who's with his family and 3 young children, and she's being nasty. I've witnessed people in this pandemic in those same positions, nurses, people out, the serve, I've witnessed it, guys, no matter, and I'm trying to be nice, and you're just scared and mad and mean, and you know, you're not wearing a mask, you're killing us all. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't have COVID, so I'm not killing you. I take the tests, guys. When I'm feeling sick, I put my mask on. When I'm not, I don't wear it. And guess what, guys? No one says anything to me. No one. When they do, okay, wait, somebody did. Where were we? Where'd I go? I went into some, like, Sephora. I don't know what it was. It wasn't Sephora. It was just a little store. And they, oh, no, it was CarMax. And the lady handed it to me. It wasn't even a big deal. And I'm like, you know what, fine. I want to make people feel better, but if no one has said anything, that one lady at CarMax, you know, I'm not killing people. I don't have COVID. When I feel sick, I don't go out. And if I do put my mask on. I wash my hands. Like, come on. I keep my immunity up. Can we start looking at our leaders? Can we turn to our leaders and ask our leaders to start healing their hearts? Because guess what, guys? The leaders are making decisions from the fear place. Everything's coming from there. And if you're already in that space, it just amplifies it. Are your leaders making you feel safe? I shouldn't have to make you feel safe. How about if you're looking to your leaders so much for things, do they make you feel safe? Do they make you feel loved? Do you remember that? Like, I'll just take this for an example. I know a lot of Democrats, myself included, I love me some Barack Obama. There was a time when I just loved him. I had never felt that way about a president. You know, and yeah, it was because he was black. I'm like, I'm not even going to lie. I was like, he's a black dude, and he's smart, and he's handsome. Oh, my God. It was so cool to feel a connection. And that's all we're trying to do, guys, is he made real connections with people. That's what you need to be able to do, to open your heart. Look past the color of the skin. Try to do that. And open your heart. Look past the Republican or Democrat and open your heart to your neighbor who is being mistreated by nurses and doctors. Mistreated. To your, you know, that opponent over there who didn't get to see their loved one before they died. Maybe we could lay all of that stuff to the side and give each other a hug. We need to connect with each other, guys. This is about connection. It's about forgiveness. People are waking up. You're waking up, and you're not waking up to the ugliness of the world. You're waking up to the ugliness of yourself, because what you're seeing out there, that ugly, is something within you that absolutely must be healed. It may be something, and most likely is a pain, an emotional pain that's been carried down through your family. It comes out in different ways. We respond to it in different ways, each of us. But we have that shared, let that pain be something that can bring us together and be like, you know, I mean, we have to be able to use our whole brain. And that's how we can reason. If you can prove to me, that would be the proof. Are you using your whole brain, your whole heart? Okay, let's go. How can we prove that? Could there be a test for that? Can we put some things out there that promote health and immunity? Can we make this more about being healthy? I mean, like, it's just a whole perspective change, guys. And where are the leaders that are leading that? I don't want a thought leader. I want a thought leader and a heart leader together as one. I want to see our leaders demonstrating unity. I dare you. I dare President Biden to demonstrate unity with Republicans, unity with all of the people that he normally rails against. What brings us together? Speak to them. Speak to their inner child. Look at them like they're your children and love everybody. Speak to them that way. You don't have to go around and kiss all your opponents, but you can get yourself in an elevated state and speak to everyone from that state, because right now, I don't even watch the news anymore because everyone is speaking from such a low place of fear. It doesn't bring me down to the fear. It just makes me very sad at this point. I don't get sucked down into that fear state. I just don't. If I do, I know how to come out of it. I know how to recognize when I'm there. I haven't felt fear for a long time, and it really wasn't until my mom died. I had been doing a lot of work